This is the binder that I used last year when I was a special ed site lead at the Holiday Inn at I-275. I created this to put everything in one place because special ed is one area we definitely do not want to have the students not have their accommodations, because that is a violation of federal law. So in order to make sure that those items were adhered to, I wanted to have a place where everything was all together, readily accessible for me, just in case other items that I had for everybody happened to get misplaced. So I put everything into a binder. I had used something similar previously when I was a site lead, so I just made the accommodations for it with the special ed site lead. So now we'll just open it up, and as you can see on this page here, I had what would be used as a word processor, because last year we had someone who had accommodations with a word processor, and those were a little bit different. So we wanted to make sure that we followed the exact directions on what those accommodations involved. So I had that sheet, printed it out, and put it in that pocket. Now over here, what I did is I created the schedule and put it right here, which this is the testing schedule for all of the grades, not just special ed, but when testing was going to occur for all the grades of 3 through 8. And now this sheet, I just used information that we had. These are all of the people that were involved in testing. The people that were the site leads, myself as special ed site lead, Joe Ellen was the site lead. We had Heather Sapp as an assistant, and then we had all of the various proctors at our site, because we did have a very large site, and unfortunately we had some people that couldn't make it at certain times. So we needed the different names, so we had their names and addresses, email addresses and cell phones. Then here was information for our site. Again, this is just basic information that we've had from year to year. I just simply put it in there for reference. And then this was a listing of all of the students that were testing at our site. Just in case we needed it, I made sure that we had that as a copy so that we had the phone numbers readily available. Now this is where the special ed part started. I had each of the students divided up by grade level and the number in each grade level, so I could readily see who was taking the test and what tests they were taking, whether they were 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and what accommodations then that they would need. And as you can see, there are the 7th and 8th graders as well. Now, on this was the proctor schedule that we came up with for who was going to test each of the special ed kids and where they were going to test and what the accommodations were. This was put together with myself and the site lead so that we all could make sure that the rooms were not conflicted with for testing purposes. Again, here is the continuation of that, and it continues on. And this is a listing of all of the students that we had, their names, their grades, and then all of the various testing accommodations they had. So if I wanted to, I could easily look at this and say, okay, what were the accommodations for, say, Jimmy Smith, and I could easily look down and see what those accommodations might be for him. Now the next part are the IEP testing pages, which specifically list the accommodations for each student. This is a part of the legal document of the IEP that each of them are required to have. Then I had a proctor sheet that I created, which went to every proctor as they tested the student, I'm sorry. They put the date and then they put their name in there, what time they started, what time they stopped, if they needed breaks, and at the bottom they could put any additional notes that might be useful, and then these could be passed on to the teacher, special ed teacher, after we were done. And as you can see, these were all done for all of the other students as well. We had quite a large population. So I needed to make sure that we had those. Then what I did is I took the special ed PowerPoint that we had, and I created a sheet where each of the slides were on too, so if I needed to reference it, I could easily go back to my binder and look at what some of the information was about how to make sure that we were assessing the students with disabilities in the correct manner. And actually this did come in quite handy. We had a few cases where I did need to actually look this up. Then at the back, if any of the tests needed to be signed out, they could use this sheet as well. We did not have that case there. And then at the back, I just had this from when I was a site lead, which are signs for testing. And this came in handy when we were testing special ed kids, so that I could put them on the door saying what grade was where, just in case the parents wanted to know. So this is just an idea of what this binder is comprised of and how it could be put together to help somebody with organizing the information for being a special ed site lead. It is a very big job, and by keeping everything in a central location and in a concise manner, it's readily accessible. The site lead has it. If you have additional papers floating out there, you've got everything you need as a backup. So it's always readily there available. So I hope that this was useful, and if you use it, good luck.